Okay. It looks like there's a room full of people there, and I just wish I could be there in person because I want to see every face there and answer every question. How many people are in the room? Approximately. Oh, I missed that. Anyway, it looks like there's a nice group of you, maybe 40 people or so. Are you able to see me? Because I'm looking at the screen back there and I don't see my presentation. It must be in front of you, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. So we're good to go. All right. Well, I guess Mike talked a little bit about how he and I met, and he's so right that one of the reasons to go to different events to learn about our industry is really about meeting the people that you meet. And he's right. We became friends, and I haven't been out your direction yet, but he's been in town a few times, and we always get together, Sid and I, with Mike and some of the other friends that we've met along the way and some of the conferences. And it's just a fabulous business with some people that are just so willing to share all the time. And, we're just fortunate, all of us, to be in this business and meet other people who will share how they do business. It's a fantastic business to be in. So Mike asked me to talk about luxury real estate because it's something I'm really passionate about. And so I think all of us, when we're in real estate, and we are, we kind of find the niches that are interesting to us and that we get excited about. And that's what happened to me with luxury real estate. So why is that? Is it just about the money? Not at all. I got excited about luxury real estate because I'm excited about helping families find homes. And these particular kind of homes are so interesting to me. It didn't happen for me right away when I first got into the business, but as I became more interested in things like design, architecture, the finishes that are in homes, the technology, as I became more interested in those things, then that's part of the luxury world of real estate. And I like talking about them. I liked learning about design. I liked learning about architecture. What's the difference? And that's how I really got started in luxury real estate because it's about your knowledge base. So we're going to try to cover several things here. Let me start playing my presentation here. So I am Robin Yates. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada, Henderson actually, but I always say Las Vegas because people don't know where Henderson is, but it's really a large city that butts right up to Las Vegas. So today I'm going to try to cover a lot. We're just going to skim the surface, but several parts of luxury real estate. The first is the mindset of the luxury consumer, leveraging your company plan, leveraging what it is your company does in the luxury world, how to obtain luxury clients. That's the biggest question I get. I teach classes here in Las Vegas on luxury real estate, and many agents from all over the valley come to the class where we talk about how to obtain luxury clients. We're going to skim over the surface today. And then working with luxury buyers and then bringing your luxury listing to life. So those are some of the things we're going to talk about. So this is me. I've been in real estate almost 25 years now, and I own my own company, like Mike, and it's been a journey. What can I say? But if you're ever out here, please call me because I'd love to meet any of you in person. So I thought we'd first start with the mindset of the luxury consumer so you can kind of understand what is in the mind of that buyer and seller out there. But first, let's take a look at the definition of luxury. What is luxury? Is it really a price point, or is it a feeling, or is it something else? So here's the definition: a condition of abundance or great ease and comfort, sumptuous environment, lived in luxury, something adding to pleasure or comfort, but not absolutely necessary. So an indulgence in something that provides pleasure, satisfaction, or ease. So luxury, in a way, is not necessarily a price point, but it's a feeling that you get. from a room, from a house, from an experience that you have. It's a feeling of luxury. So what is considered luxury in every market in terms of real estate and the price point? Well, it's the top 10% of your market. And I don't know what that is in your market. Maybe you can tell me. Do you know what the top 10% is, Mike, in your market? For instance, here in Las Vegas, it starts at 850,000 and goes up, to $20 million. But the
That's about
top,
right.
is it the same there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And you can figure that out on your MLS. But in terms of what each market considers luxury, it is generally the top 10%. So isn't that interesting? So 90% of the business is what? Something else. It's less than that price point. So my opinion is you never want to abandon the 90%. You always want to continue to work in the 90%. But if you like luxury, then become knowledgeable in the top 10%. So that's our definition. Moving on, we're going to look at the affluent. And here's some statistics that I think you might be interested in. It's kind of fun. So worldwide, there are over 120,000 people who possess 50 million plus in net worth. 120,000 people, $50 million in net worth. Isn't that amazing? And here's an even more amazing statistic. This is an increase of 53% over the past 5 years. So we have a lot of wealth building in the world, lots of money. This is a reason actually to consider getting into luxury real estate if you're not in it now. Let me make sure you guys can see my presentation here. I better leave it alone. Worldwide, there are 1.6 million households that have more than $10 million in net worth. $10 million in net worth. That's an increase of 11% since 2015. This is an astounding increase of 91% since 2010. Kind of shocking, right? The most recent Credit Suisse Global Wealth Report, that's a report that you can access, I think you have to pay for it, shows a net gain in the high net worth population of net worth $1 million or more, 36.1 million. So 36.1 million people have a net worth of 1 million or more. That's an increase of 7%. To 36.1 million people. In value up 10% to 129 trillion. All right, this is also interesting. Today's affluent is mostly self-made, with only 3% having inherited their wealth. Only 3% have inherited their wealth. So most of the wealthy are self-made. I find that fascinating, but it kind of makes sense. If you look at the millionaires and trillionaires in the world, they're really people who have done it through business, through some kind of business, through investing in the stock market, something like that. So there's just some beautiful, lovely, we've got a private plane there, some beautiful watches. Who doesn't like a beautiful car? So, this wonderful world of luxury real estate, how can you leverage the company that you work for? Let me tell you, you absolutely can. So in your company, you want to, so one of the questions I get often is, I want to move into luxury real estate, but how do I even talk about luxury when I've never sold, let's say, $1 million house? Never sold one. How do I want to get in, but how do I even talk about that? Well, you don't have to talk about yourself personally, but you can talk about your company's participation in the luxury market. So as an example, as your company gets luxury listings in your market, it sounds like it's probably about 850 and above, then you can, with your broker's permission and the listing agent's permission, you could actually talk about those properties on social media or in conversation even with people. You can talk about any luxury programs, tools, or affiliations. And my understanding is Century 21 does have a designation for luxury properties that are qualified, that get a special logo and maybe some special tools that are available. Let's talk about your company's history and reputation in your market. Now, usually within most offices, there's a few people, at least 1, 2, 3 people that are doing luxury real estate. They're focusing on high end. And so those are great people to talk to. Seek those people out. And then, be willing to do things for them. It's kind of an exchange because you can't just take, you have to be willing to give. So as an example, I'm willing to run some errands for you. I can drop off brochures. You offer to do something for them so that in return, they might tell you, share with you their marketing plan for their listings, or how they prepare to work with a buyer in a luxury property or in a luxury price range. So try shadowing that established luxury agent, and in a way they're actually mentoring you. And then what is your broker's policy on attending a luxury listing presentation with you? So as an example, if you have a luxury agent that is willing to let you attend a luxury listing presentation, that would be a huge opportunity. If that's not possible, maybe they would actually demonstrate a luxury listing presentation to you or at a sales meeting. So if you have an opportunity to go on a luxury listing presentation with another agent, here is my advice to you. Don't say a word. And the reason I say that is I've done this in the past, and I brought an agent with me at a luxury listing presentation. And before, of course, I set it up and I said, listen, Kevin, don't say a word. Don't jump in. I know you know some things about this community, but I have a flow and I want to work my flow. And so if you jump in, it's going to kind of goof me up, really. So he agreed. So I brought him with me. Guess what he did? He started talking. So it's all okay. I got the listing, but it really can, these are important moments for I'm sure you understand, going on any listing presentation, they're important moments, and you have your process and your flow, and you can't interrupt it. So of course I let him know afterwards, and it's all okay. We're friends today. Let's see. And then make an appointment with your broker if this is something that you really want to do. And, in my company as a broker, I always appreciate it when agents let me know what it is that they want to do. Because then as I go throughout my day, I'm thinking of opportunities. Oh, that's right. For instance, I had an agent pull me aside yesterday, and we talked about what her goals were for 2021. And they're really big goals. And part of these goals have to do with increasing her average price point. Well, now that I know that, then I can find opportunities to assist her and check in with her on how we can do that. So if luxury is something you want to do, you definitely need to let your broker know so that they can, if there's opportunities for you to learn, it's going to be top of mind. For us, it has to be top of mind. If you don't tell us, we don't read minds. Right, Mike? You're a mind reader. I'm not. All right. So in order to be knowledgeable, you have to be knowledgeable. So the information on the luxury real estate in your market is not just going to show up in your brain. You have to do some work. Our director of sports and entertainment, Stacy Connor, she is a NBA wife. Her husband is a coach and a former player, and she specializes in luxury. And let me tell you what she does every single morning. The first thing she does while she's having coffee, she has herself on automatic notifications of every luxury home that comes available in the market, and she reviews them. So she has an inventory almost in her head. So you need to pull the inventory and understand it. So I have here as part of your plan to pull your inventory every week. Tour communities. So for instance, I'm sure you have country clubs there where you have a beautiful clubhouse, memberships to the golf course and the tennis facilities and all of that. Make an appointment with the membership director. The membership director is the person that can tell you about the memberships. Well, that's the lifestyle at the community. Many people will purchase in a country club community because of the lifestyle. They want to be a part of the events that are happening at the club. So there's two reasons to do this. Number one, so you become knowledgeable. Number two, you now know the membership director. And so you can pick up the phone and you can call the membership director. Do this at every private club community, any place that has a clubhouse within your city, in your market. So become familiar with each community's amenities and selling features. Understand that people purchase in a community like that for the lifestyle. So you need to understand what it is. I can't really do it today, but in other classes that I offer in my company, we go over in great detail each community and trying to understand who is the designer of the golf course, as an example. Golf has become actually quite an elite sport. And some people call it a sport, some people call it an activity. I don't know, that's up to you. To me, it's an activity. It's not a sport. I'm not competitive in that way. But understanding who designed the golf course and understanding the designer is important, because when someone is purchasing and golf is important to them, there's different designers have different levels of challenge on their golf courses. So you can get real deep into it if you want to, and you can do blogs and different information about that. So then view homes via broker open houses. Now, I know we're not doing a lot of open houses now. I'm not sure what the rules are there. But here in Las Vegas, before COVID, we would get all the time, our agents were getting invitations to broker open houses at luxury homes. So if you get those in your market, I don't know if you do, you want to go, because it's your opportunity to, number one, become familiar with inventory. Very, very important. And number two, talk to an agent who's listed the home that can give you insight into that property and maybe even into the community. It's all about learning. Let's see. So I've got some things here that are specific to our market. You want to follow any of the communities that have these lifestyles, follow their pages so that you can, keep updated on what's going on in those communities. So how do you obtain clients, luxury clients? It's just like that, right? Well, you have to have a plan, and it's all about being knowledgeable, having product knowledge, community knowledge, because there's something that happens when you have knowledge. It creates confidence. When you have confidence and you can speak intelligently about a community, a product, an architect, when you can speak intelligently, then you will attract people to you because you have knowledge. If you have no knowledge, it's going to be tough. So you have to get the knowledge first. So here's an idea for you, just an idea for a plan, a marketing strategy. So on a Monday, let's look at, this is a 4-week plan. On a Monday, update internet presence if needed, websites, profiles, etc. Social media update. So I suggest that you follow products that are luxury. So figure out, do you like beautiful watches? Well, find the social media pages for Hublot, the various jewelry that are really luxury, and follow them. And then you can occasionally share information or posts from those sites. Let's see. So Tuesday, send social media updates, send personal email to network and sphere of influence. So what this is about is if you come across an article or information about, maybe it's a local builder, send it out in email. It is beginning to position you as a person that is knowledgeable in luxury. So then Wednesday, social media update. This is where you might post some of that information on luxury. Tour a luxury community. On Thursday, 10 personal calls by noon. Week 2, create a blog. Update your blog every Monday. This can be, you could just simply pull the numbers on what's sold in a particular month in luxury, and then you could create a blog on it and post that. You could create a blog on a community. Just something simple as, I toured ABC community. Here are some of the insights that I found about that community. This works really well for those of you that like to write. Let's see, attend a class, seminar, workshop, social event, meet 3 new people. I always say, build your business by doing what you love to do anyway. So if, and I know it's difficult now with COVID, but if you, for instance, I'll just tell a quick story, and it's not necessarily luxury, but it's real life. I had a new agent who joined my firm some years back, and he was a retired airline pilot. Okay, so he'd flown around the world, and he lived here in Las Vegas, and he really didn't know many people, but he liked to play bridge. And so I gave him an assignment, and the assignment was, I want you to have 3 specific things you can say about real estate in your next bridge, next time you go play bridge to the group. So it was simple things like, prices have gone up, 6% in the last quarter. Okay. And so what we're finding is that people are able to sell and, make money on their homes. So 3 little different things like that. I don't remember what they were exactly, but something along that line that was, current. And I said, okay, after you play bridge, come back and talk to me and let me know how it went. So he did, and he got a lead for a potential buyer. And so we can kind of continued along that line. And he came back and he said, well, this is working, but I need more business. I need to create more business, because that's what, by the way, you're the CEO of your business and you have to create your own business. And I said, you need to play more bridge. So he joined 2 more bridge groups. Smart, right? And that's literally how he created his business. And then it went from there. But he was just doing what he liked to do anyway. So that's what we have to do. So back to our plan here. I hope I'm not going to go over. Let's see. Attend a class, seminar, workshop, social event. Wednesday, social media update again, 10 personal calls. Week 3, update your blog, social media update. You can kind of see how it goes. But it's important to have a plan and work your plan. And then just focus on those luxury products. So just some keys in working with buyers who are affluent, who are searching for properties. So understanding the lifestyle needs of the client will help in finding the perfect community. Remember, we were talking about understanding the communities first. Well, now because you have that understanding, you're going to be more likely to be able to find the right community for your client. So working with buyers. Nearly 9 in 10 affluent consumers feel they can often get to the facts faster on their own via the internet than if they turn to a company representative. Professionalism, because 21% of the young affluent, Gen X and the millennials are business owners or C-level executives, the following expectations are non-negotiable. Now, when we call them the C-level, so those are your CEOs, your CFOs, your COOs, we call them the C-level. So here's number one, clean and professional offices, vehicles, and attire. Are you wondering where I got this information? Well, this information is through Luxury Portfolio, and it's through a white paper. They hire a third-party company who does research, and this is from their white paper. So clean and professional offices, vehicles, and attire. Answering your phone in a professional manner, returning calls and emails immediately. Websites, profiles, and social media must be of the highest standards. From the smallest communications to the largest presentation, be prepared to deliver at the highest level. So up your game. That's really what this is all about. It's an expectation. A luxury consumer is expecting not only you and your car to be clean, but they're also expecting the properties that they look at to be clean and perfect. So these are the questions that I get in the classes that I teach. What kind of car should I drive? Do I need designer clothes? How do I bring up financing or funds? What is financing like for the affluent? So just some quick questions here. So in real estate in general, you need to have a clean car and a car that works. It should be one of your tools, right? So I think in general in real estate, the consumer expects that you're going to have a nice car, since in the past we were driving people around in our car. But it definitely should be clean. Do you need designer clothes? Absolutely not. You just need to be clean, well-dressed, and your clothes need to be pressed. So this is one that has come up a lot. I don't know why, but agents are concerned about bringing up financing or where the money's coming from, particularly with the luxury consumer. So the only thing I can say about that is it's just like financing with anybody else. And so you just have to ask the question, what are you thinking? Are you going to finance the purchase, or are you going to pay cash? And here in Las Vegas, I don't know how it is there, but here in Las Vegas, in order to even see $1 million plus home, to be able to show it, we have to provide either a pre-approval letter or proof of funds. So that's why it's important to bring it up. We have to have it in advance before we even can show the property. And what is financing like? Well, sometimes you're dealing with jumbo loans, and right now there's a lot of overlays and changes in jumbo loans. So a lot of the affluent will go directly to where they have their investments, and they'll take a loan out against their investments. So those are some things that, it's kind of, you have to do a deep dive into those things. So we're going to go, and then we'll do the questions at the end. So if you want to just write down your questions. So we'll go on to the listing. We're just trying to pack a lot in here. So what's the cost of not being prepared? So we always say it's pre-market time for we do this with any listing, but specifically with luxury listings. So you set a time frame before the listing goes live, and you're going to incorporate in the listing a specific date. So when the listing is going to go live, you're going to work this out with your client. Allow the time for setup, staging, photography, print marketing, online marketing. Allow for all of that stuff to get set up in advance before that listing goes live. So as an example, we usually need 7 to 10 days before we can go live with the listing. So when you go on your listing presentation, consultation, and you get the listing signed, here in our market, we're able to get it signed even though it's not going to go live for 7 to 10 days. So that's the date we put as the live date, or the date that it's effective, so that we have a contract so that we can begin putting things together. So, so with the luxury market, performance is imperative. The expectation, remember, in many cases, you're working with business owners, again, those CEOs, CFOs, COOs, and to a certain degree, they're used to giving direction to people. So don't be offended. You might run into someone that wants to just give you direction. It's okay. Don't be offended. Don't let your ego get in the way. So they have high expectations of communication. So it's just really about raising your game. So one thing to be aware of is less than 5% of affluent consumers want to renovate a home when looking to purchase. So when you are talking with your client, and if the home needs to be renovated, this is a whole topic into itself. Really, you're going to have to do some specific things to get the house ready. So be prepared to talk to your client about that. How do you bring the wow factor to your marketing? So it starts by getting creative. So there's so much information that's available online. So 9 out of 10 consumers feel they can often get the facts faster on their own via the internet than contacting a company representative. I'm certain you're running into this. Your clients are giving you, I found this house, I found this information about this house. So you want to focus on some things that they cannot get online. What are those things? Some of the things are the history of the home. I would imagine in your market, you have some really historic properties. So being able to tell a story, and if you can put it in writing, that's even better, about the history of a home, is something that they're not going to be able to get online. Unless you put it online, then they can get it there too. So my point is, you want to hold some things back that they can't get online, that they have to contact you for. Okay? So what's the story behind the property? So I don't know if they're doing staging there, but it's really turning a home into a commodity for sale. Staging can do unbelievable things for a property that's out of date. So, and I don't think I brought any of those pictures with me, but virtual staging is a really big deal here. I don't know if it is there. So we do virtual staging a lot in terms of, for instance, in our market, we have a lot of properties that are Tuscan in style, Italian Tuscan, and that is not what people want now. You know, the majority of people, some people do, but in our market, we're getting a lot of California people, and they want modern. So what we're able to do is remove furniture from a photograph and put in transitional furniture or modern furniture, depending on what's needed. You have to have a really good photographer to do this. So this is how we help to position a property for the market, because you want to take a look at the market and what the market needs. So there's some statistics there for you. So pre-market photography. Your listing photography will be your portfolio. It will reflect you as well as your company. Photography has become incredibly important as more people go online and they just look at properties online before they call anyone. So make sure you're using, and by the way, it's your resume. It becomes your resume. So when you skimp on photography, you are going to look really bad, but people will hire you because of the photography. So that's where you really want to invest your time and your money with a great photographer. You want to use a professional who specializes in property photography, not in, oh yeah, well, I can shoot some pictures of that. And make sure that the photographer is photographing the property in a way that is going to assist people in telling, where does this room lead to? That's one of the other details. Aerial photography and drone footage is really required in luxury photography. Twilight and evening shots have a big impact. They're really important. So you got to do those too. Oh, I don't have this here. So, but let me just go back to that. Oops. Oh dear. So little mini movies have become kind of a big deal. Let's see. And this one, I thought it was embedded and she didn't embed it, but we didn't really have time to watch it anyway. Maybe what I'll do is I'll send it to Mike afterwards and you guys can look at it another time, or he can send it out to you. But little mini movies are becoming really big in some markets for selling luxury property. And the reason is they don't tell how many bedrooms, anything like that, but they talk about the mini movie creates the feeling of what it would be like to live in this house. Kind of a fun thing. When you're market ready, of course, online is incredibly important. And so all the social media, the Zillow, the Realtor, the Trulia, the Realtor.com, all of that is incredibly important for your online presence. And make sure that we don't have time to get into it today, but the writing of the copy is incredibly important. Don't focus on things that they can already get in the MLS sheet, but focus on the details of what they can't get there. Again, the lifestyle, the story of what it would be like to live in this property. So you have local publications that might be worthwhile to put your property in there as well. Regional and international publications. In luxury, there's so much that's done online now, but in luxury, it's still expected that there will be print advertising. Yeah, I know. It's expensive, but it's kind of the expectation. I wanted to just touch on contracts and negotiations with the luxury buyer and seller. So what can you expect in negotiations in this price range? So now you've listed the home, it's on the market, and you got an offer. One thing that's really, really important, your luxury seller is expecting that you are going to come to that meeting to present that offer with ideas. And your ideas should be based on what it is your client wants. So you should be very clear on what it is your client is wanting to accomplish. As an example, is time important to them? Is getting them, it's not always the price. Let me give you an example. I had a property that I just put on the market on Friday night. We had scheduled showings between 1 and 4 on Saturday. It was listed at $1,250,000. I knew everything about what my client wanted to accomplish. They're moving to Texas. Their house is going to be done in 30 days. They want to make sure they have the cash from this house when they close. So timing was important to them. Getting their money was important to them. Do you think that getting full price was the most important thing to them? It was not. The most important thing to them was getting a cash buyer and getting it closed in time for them to move to Texas. So when I got the offer, I sent it to them, called to talk with them about it, and they just said, sold. It was $50,000 less than the list price, but it accomplished what they wanted. So in this case, I came with my ideas, but actually the offer gave them everything they needed. But you need to be prepared when you get an offer of understanding what your client wants, what they're trying to accomplish, and then bringing your ideas. High-level clients like this expect that you have strategies in place, okay? Expert negotiation, expecting you to bring the solutions and ideas. Some of your clients are going to enjoy the process of negotiation. So it's actually enjoyable for them. Some might call it a game, but understand that too, so that you can give them what they want. In other cases, they have high expectations of you negotiating. So understand that as well. And of course, personality traits can be a factor. So really important to have a successful closing, making sure that there are no issues, that everything is, your luxury client expects no drama. They expect there's going to be no drama in this. So you need to be behind the scenes, making sure everything is happening on time, that you're communicating, you're letting them know what's going on, and that you're not bringing a lot of drama to them. One thing I will say, and this is a broker philosophy, that is bad news right away. If there is bad news, always remember that your seller or your buyer is making plans all along the way they're making appointments, they're scheduling moving trucks, all those different things. So if you do have bad news, you do need to let them know right away. Don't, I know you're going to be in the background trying to find solutions, which is good, but you need to understand that your clients are making decisions and this could affect them. So that's it. Any questions from anyone?
So Robin, this is Mike. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So let's chat. Okay. So hopefully we're going to pretend like Robin and I are out at dinner in Las Vegas and we're just going to talk here for a second. Excuse me.
That sounds fun.
Okay. So like you got a home buyer, right? It sounds like our market averages are about the same. You got a home buyer above $1 million. What do you do differently when you set up showings with this home buyer than what you might normally do?
I could give you some real life examples. So I'm going to start at the top. Okay. $6 million buyer. Here's how we handle a $6 million buyer. First of all, because of COVID, if they're flying in, this is what we actually did. We hired a car company to pick them up at the airport and follow me to the showings because we couldn't put people in our car. In addition to that, we create a beautiful black showing book. It's a hardcover and it has information about the agent, and then it has detailed information on every property. And in this case, it was a husband and wife. They each got their own book. Okay, that's their showing book. And I will tell you that it's so impressive that they'll reference it. Oh, that's in the black book. Remember, it was the last one we looked at. And you always want to put it in the order of the showings. Everything is set up in advance by appointment. In addition to that, we hire a chef to prepare a box lunch. It's really a nice box lunch. We'll either have it in the car or else we'll stop back at the office, reserve the conference room, and we'll have lunch in the office. But it will be a really nice from a chef, not a, not
no Chick-fil-A?
No, it's really impressive, and they'll remember it. So that's how the showings go. That's from the top. Now we don't do that for everybody, but we do have athletes and celebrities that we will show property to, and this is how we handle it. Then if we have someone that's in the, let's say, $1.5 million range, well, we're still going to do this showing book, right? We're still going to do our showing book. And then we may or may not do lunch, and probably they'll drive their own car. But everything will be planned. Every appointment is set. We almost always have an agent who is guiding us through each property that we look at. And that's important to talk with that listing agent in advance who's going to be showing the property, and make sure that the client is seeing those areas that are a top priority to the client.
So do you find above $1 million that the listing agents will typically be there for your showings?
Absolutely. Yes.
What is, as the buyer's agent, what's your interaction with that listing agent during the showing? Do you let them take control of the showing since they know the property, or are they just there to answer questions? How do you do that?
They take total control. And when I'm the listing agent, on Saturday, I mentioned I had these 5 showings. I take total control of the showing, because there are things in the property. It's not a feature dump, but there are things in the property that are not obvious. And so you have to be able to share that information and point the information out. So, and this is kind of typical of how it's done. I'll share how I do it, and that's typical of how the other agents are doing it. So we do a tour, and you tell everybody up front, introductions at the door, and then I'll say to the group or the couple or the person, whoever is there with their agent, I'm going to go ahead and take you through the home. I'm going to give you a tour, answer your questions, and then I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to go down to the theater room. I'll be there if you have any questions, but take your time. So it's definitely a tour, but then you're going to get out of their way so that they have a chance to process, because it's just process. And then at the end, what I'll say to them on the way out is, first of all, do you have any questions? And then I'll say, you're with a really great agent. Stacy's first class. You're in really good hands, if they are. It's somebody that I know. And that's really helpful to the other agent because, this business is about relationships. And so if you have a good relationship with that agent and you've complimented them in front of their clients, then that could help you get an offer. I'm telling you.
So let me ask you a different kind of question. Let's go to the listing side. Let's say that you have a listing appointment this Saturday and it's maybe your first one above $1 million. Okay, so you've not really played in this space. You have your standard listing presentation that you would give on $80,000 homes, but now you're at 8 million, right?
Yeah.
So what would you focus on? Is there something that you find those homeowners are particularly interested in when you show up for that appointment?
Yes. So there's two things I'm going to kind of go to it's probably not answering it exactly the way you want me to, but let me tell you, there's two things. One is trust. Do they feel like they trust you? And number two is, can you perform? So with that in mind, yourself personally, how you present yourself, and your listing presentation should answer those questions. So how do you answer trust? Well, you should be trustworthy in your presentation. You should deliver trust. But then also the recommendations from your client should be in your listing presentation. So when you leave, they can read those, or you can send them in advance. We try to send it all in advance. So those are the two things, trust and performance. And then on the performance, it's kind of hard for newer people, but what we do here is if we have so our agents are allowed to create a brochure of a luxury property that our company has listed or has closed in the past, and to create a brochure from it. So they can demonstrate with their picture on it, the brochure, a luxury property. So that speaks to performance.
Okay. These people are highly successful people in their worlds, right? They're typically can be A-type personalities, used to getting their own way, have figured out in their life how to get their own way. How do you deal with that?
Well, remember when I was talking about sometimes they treat you like an employee? You have to be willing to a certain degree, you stay professional. You have to have a lot of confidence, but just understand that that's just their world. It's not personal. Take nothing personally, and be honest. Sometimes they're used to getting their own way, and sometimes. So in a negotiation, as an example, you're being honest and you're helping your client to try to get what they want, but it's really not going to work, let's say, because of the market condition or what they're asking for is unreasonable. Just like any other buyer, as an example, they have to learn from not getting the house. And so you have to go on to the next house.
So let's say you do all that, right? First, before I go there, when you're showing these homes, do you just meet them in the driveway at the house?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
What
No.
do you typically do?
No, you don't jump in the car and meet them at the house. No, you would always want to meet them at your office in advance. And normally you would, so in a perfect world, you'd have a meeting so that you could talk through everything that they were looking for. And then you would set up a time to look at properties another time. But what often happens is maybe it's a referral from another agent and they're flying into town, and you might have to do a lot of the work on the phone with people or on a Zoom call. I've done a lot of calls like Zoom call type where we do our analysis and our needs analysis and trying to understand what it is they're looking for. But normally you would meet them at the office and have a separate meeting about what it is they're looking for a buyer.
Okay. So let's say you've done all this, you've put it all together, you got all the way through closing, you got your gigantic check at closing, right? You just made $100,000 on this real estate transaction. Pretty typical, right?
Every day.
So I'm just kind of curious, out of every 10 of these transactions that you would do, how many times do they really try to drive your commission down? Because you're making a percentage of such a big number.
So I don't find that they do that. I actually have a different experience. My experience is that amount of money is not that big a deal to somebody in this CEOs in this luxury world because they have a lot of money. So, so to some degree, as an example, a real life example, I just closed a $4 million property up at McDonald Highlands. Doesn't mean anything to you, but it's right by my office. And the seller didn't do all the repairs. So I just jumped in and did all the repairs, and it's still going on. I'm still paying for repairs, but it's kind of like you just have to take care of people. They're not happy because the seller didn't do it, but really, a few $1,000s, I can get this all done and they'll be happy. So that's my experience.
So I'll share with everybody. I have a really close friend of mine in Jacksonville, has humongous hotel of a house on the intercoastal in Jacksonville that he just sold for $5 million. And we were talking about it, and I said, well, what'd you pay the agent? And he goes, 6%. Isn't that what y'all charge? So she's right. It never occurred to him to negotiate the commission. I got to ask you, after you get this gigantic check, do you do closing gifts to your clients?
So that's a really fun thing. So what we've started doing is actually an event. So what we'll do is we'll hire a chef, get some beautiful wine if they like wine, and we'll schedule it in advance with the client, like if they have their family coming over, and we create a party for them. And they love it. It's really fun.
So it's not about the thing you bought them, it's about the experience you create.
Well, right. And part of that has to do with the new research on the luxury consumer. They are very much into experiences. They're less about things and more about experiences. So we're trying to find new ways to create experiences. One thing I didn't talk about is you will have to be a really expert resource on everything. You should have a design, a couple of really great designers, handyman, blind people, just kind of like also with your other clients, but maybe a step up. The interior designer is really important. They want that.
So it's something that really stuck with me just now, right? They're less about the things and more about the experiences. Do you have a couple more minutes?
Sure.
Okay, so I'd like to open it up in the room. Just ask the question. I'll repeat it to her so she can hear it quickly. Any questions for Robin this morning? Well, don't everybody go at one time. We have a shy group. Rip, what you got?
I guess still you wouldn't dictate. So, I don't have a ton of experience with showing luxury listings, but the few that I showed were that type A personality where they already had the initial conversation. They didn't want to meet beforehand. They're so busy. And in this community, we're so busy, and people at that level, and they're like, I'll just meet you there. Should I ever push back or just let them drive that?
I don't know.
Just do it. Yeah. There's like the perfect way you want to do it. And then there's being flexible. Okay. I would do it. I would, meet them there as long as I felt comfortable they weren't a rapist or something. I mean, and who they were and something about them.
Somebody else had a question behind Rip. Leanne, what you got?
So I I called on a FISBO the other day, and I have their, about 1.2 million. And she had, well, actually it was expired. She had it listed for someone. She wasn't happy with what they were doing. So now she's interested in maybe, hiring another agent. But she mentioned to me that she might just put it in the NLS, the FMLS, whatever, just like buy one of those. Yeah.
There's a question coming here for you any second.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, what's a good way for me to kind of market myself, or so she doesn't, just go that route.
So why don't you and I get together outside of here and we'll put together a luxury thing specific for that. Sound good? Ms. Maxwell?
How do you approach it when it's an estate as opposed to the owner itself, when it's the children that are selling an estate that is very dated?
Well, you have to be transparent and honest. And the best way to do that, so I did one of these recently and I had to do it all on Zoom. It was very difficult. And there were 4 boys that owned this, they had inherited this house. And same thing, it was a mess. And so what I did is I showed them visually what needed to be done. So I gave them examples of other dated properties that I had listed and how we had done virtual staging to transform it. Because in this case, I actually gave them 3 different scenarios. I gave them what you could get as is. Here's a list of the minimal things you can do, and here's what you'll get. Here's a total remodel, and here's what you'll get. And then I threw in the virtual staging. So you have to get creative. It was a lot of work to try to figure out the pricing that I was going to be able to get them.
So you don't think I need a 500 series Mercedes to play in this space?
No, you don't. You just need a nice car. It needs to be clean. Yeah. Running.
Bob,
What's happening in the Las Vegas market?
I tell you, it's crazy. We have the lowest inventory we've ever had in the 25 years I've been in business in every price range. We've never had this hot of a luxury market. It's ridiculous. And the demand is really high. We're hoping that when people feel more comfortable after the people get vaccinated, that they'll feel more comfortable putting their houses on the market, because we have very few houses to sell. How about there?
so be careful. He's moving your way any second.
Oh, yay!
We're going to come in. He's just going to be gone. So, Rick.
So one last quick one. So with that being said, same type of thing here. And with listings, under 500,000, it's like listing way above comps and still getting it. It's hard to price. So once you get into luxury listing, you had mentioned 3 different price points. As is, here's some minimal things you can do, and here's renovation. Are those pretty solid as far as luxury listing prices? Like, I would have a hard time doing anything under 500 with those 3 areas, just because prices are almost all over the place with multiple buyers and all that. So with price and luxury, is it still hard to do, or do those stay pretty much solid pricing?
It's not really hard to do. Custom homes are, well, luxury builder homes are easier because, you have 4 models in the community, this one, this one, this one. What were the upgrades? So that's a little easier. Custom homes are a little more challenging because you really have to understand what's in the home. And how has the market impacted that? Yeah, they're getting above list in many cases.
Okay, before we let you go, I want to have a little bit of fun here at the end, okay? There's nothing to do with real estate. You ready for this? You see the fear in her eyes? It's there.
Oh, no!
So, would you take 2 minutes and tell us about the trip you just took and how you pulled that off? And watch, this is going to drive you crazy. I couldn't sleep.
Okay, so my husband and I went to the Maldives. And if you don't know where the Maldives are, it's in the South Indian Ocean. And just go on YouTube and start Googling Maldives. It's about 1,000 different islands, and there's many, many resorts. They're teeny little islands, and there's a resort on not every island, but on like 100 of the islands. So we wanted to go there, and it's very expensive, especially from the United States. And so we had been watching this guy called The Points Guy. We don't watch TV, we watch YouTube. So also write down The Points Guy. And what The Points Guy does is he helps you understand which credit cards to buy or to get and what to charge on those credit cards to maximize your points. So what we did, so it was in January of 2020, we started collecting points, and we made a reservation. We made a trip plan for the Maldives, and we started collecting points, charging everything on our credit cards. We do not recommend credit card debt. We only recommend points, accumulating points. So instead of writing a check to the electric company, we would pay it by credit card so we could earn our points. And then at the end, we were able to take this, honestly, it was a $75,000 trip to the Maldives because we went to Dubai and then we went to the Maldives during COVID. And, but it was all paid for in points.
Wow.
Because everything with points.
Yeah. If you want to see this, go to her Facebook page and look at the pictures that she posts, and then think, yeah, they did this and it didn't cost them $1. Like, I like the pictures just when you were on the plane, because it looked like you were in first class, but it looked like you had the whole plane to yourself. Yeah. And the food you were eating is better than at any restaurant I've been to.
Oh man, it was champagne, and it was fantastic. So we flew Emirates over there, and at the 2 days before, we had enough points, and it was a surprise. My husband did it, I didn't know. We had enough points we could upgrade from business class to first class. And that was the experience of a lifetime. I cried, I know. We had been watching these YouTube videos of Emirates first class, wishing, oh man, wouldn't it be great if we could do that? But we didn't have enough points to do that. So we didn't think we were going to be able to, but we were able to get enough points at the end. I mean, we paid for appliances for our remodel on an investment property with American Express, and we paid for everything for a year.
So tell us a little bit about this place you stayed there.
What's that?
Tell us a little bit about the place where you stayed while you were there, because that was pretty cool, right?
Yeah, so it was the St. Regis, which is a Marriott project, and so it's 5-star, and so it's not a hotel like where you go into a building and you go up to your room. St. Regis Maldives they have the overwater bungalows. Then they have what they call beach bungalows, which are literally a little house on the beach. And then they have garden bungalows, which are not on the beach, but they're kind of inside the island. So the weather there, 12 months out of the year, is like 80 degrees. And the water in the Maldives is very shallow, and the temperature in the water and the temperature of the air are the same. So whether you're in the water or out of the water, you're comfortable. And so we wanted to stay in the overwater bungalows, so that's what we booked. But then one of our flights during this whole year after we booked, one of our flights got changed because they canceled a bunch of flights because of COVID. So we ended up having to stay longer, and so the overwater wasn't available, so they moved us. Well, we got actually a garden villa, but they upgraded us to a beach villa, and that's what we're going to do next December. We're saving our points.
So folks, let me just tell you this: it's not lonely at the top. There's a whole bunch of people like Robin waiting for you at the top. A lot of really cool people. I'm going to Panama City and paying for it for vacation, and she's going to the Maltese. Like,
Do this.
is there something I can learn here maybe? Right? Right. Robin, thank you so much for giving up your morning for us. We really, because you know how hard it is to do this via Zoom. She's getting no feedback from us. She can't see you yawn and falling asleep. No, she's getting no feedback at all. So it's like doing a performance and you don't know if anybody's even out there or not. So thank you so much. You're so cool.
Next time I hope to be in person. Have a great day, you guys.
Hey, I owe you. I don't know what that means, but I owe you.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you too.
Okay, thank you. Okay, before we go, we have a Fine Homes and Estates division. It comes with a separate magazine. It comes with its own different sign. It's available for properties over 850,000, which is, you got to have a point, right? Where, okay, that's the line. Everything above that's now luxury. Everything above below it's a bunch of losers. No, that's not what they say. I'm just joking. But 850 is ours here in Atlanta. We have a Fine Homes and Estates division. If you get an opportunity in this area and you come to me 20 minutes before your appointment, I'm not going to be able to help you. But if you can come to me early enough, we'll build something special for you. If you want me to go on the appointment with you, I will. If you don't want me to go, I won't. Okay. But these things do take a little bit different angle. But did you really hear anything in there that Robin's doing with her listings that you're not doing already? There's really not. So for those of you that get intimidated with this, like, oh, there's a whole different workflow that I'm supposed to implement with this stuff. No, there's not. You're just going to put a prettier bow on it when you package it up. Okay. Presentationally, it's going to look a tad different. But what you do, the nuts and bolts of it, really aren't that much different. Now, before we break, is it good to have Ellen back with us? And there's a ton of food out there, so take it, eat it, do something with it, okay? Let's go to work.